Open up that Crystal Pepsi and get comfortable.
This is Dope Nostalgia.
This is Dope Nostalgia, and I'm your host, Naomi. And we have a special episode today with a very wonderful Irish singer-songwriter by the name of Pierce Turner. Now, Pierce is very popular over in Ireland, so we wanted to make sure that we let you guys know about him here in North America. And what better place to do that? His career spans at least 3 decades now. So I want to introduce you to Pierce. First, here's a little bit of information on Pierce Turner.
Wikipedia moment.
Please bear in mind that Wikipedia is not to be taken as actual 100% fact. Any donkey could edit it at any time. If I'm reading you the artist's bio, that stuff is real truth.
Pierce Turner, born in 1956, is an Irish singer-songwriter. After forming a duo with Larry Kirwan, he went solo in the mid-1980s and has since released several albums. Turner grew up in the port town of Wexford, where his mother ran a record shop and led her own band. A classically trained musician, by the age of 7, he was a member of a traditional Irish tin whistle group, and at 8, he was playing in a brass and reed orchestra. He also sang in his local church choir, and the influence of hymn and plain chant singing has been evident throughout his later career. His first professional job was as a musician with the pop show band The Arrows. He later moved to New York City and formed the Major Thinkers with fellow Wexfordian Larry Kirwan, who is now the frontman of Black 47, and recorded several albums, also performing as Turner and Kirwan. Turner and Kirwan released 2 albums, Bootleg and Absolutely and Completely. The latter issued on the Cosmos label, as well as a single, Neck and Neck, When Starlings Fly, recorded at Electric Ladies Studios in New York and issued on the Audio Fidelity subsidiary label, Thimble, in 1973. In 78, Pierce and companion Larry were asked to front a new version of the Ohio Express bubblegum band. His first solo album, It's Only a Long Way Across, came out in 1987 and was produced by American avant-garde composer Philip Glass. It was nominated for Best Debut issued by an independent record company at the New York Music Awards. He went on to make 2 more albums for Beggar's Banquet, The Sky and the Ground in 1989, and Now Is Heaven in 1991. This album was produced by John Simon. In 1997, the Baltic imprint issued the album Angelic Language. Then in 1998, Beggar's Banquet released a Best of Pierce Turner compilation. In June 2001, 3 Minute World was released. Hot Press giving it a 12 out of 12 rating, while Tony Clayton Leah of the Irish Times described Pierce as one of the most important Irish artists in the last 20 years. Meanwhile, Turner embarked on what he called his parlour tour, performing in over 70 private houses in Ireland, accompanied by London-based Wicklow filmmaker Colin Murnane, who was making the documentary The Song for the Year. Other songs by Turner were featured in the film Snakes and Ladders and the HBO TV show The Wire, his version of Dirty Old Town. Christy Moore recorded Turner's songs Wicklow Hills and Musha God Help Her. Moore's 2004 box set includes the track I Love the Way Pierce Turner Sings. In 2005, Wicklow Hills was voted among the top 25 Irish songs of all time by Today FM in a nationwide poll. His album, The Boy to Be With, was released in 2006 and includes Turner's tribute to the late Irish bluesman Rory Gallagher. Turner commented on his lack of commercial success in 1993 by saying, I find that the American people really like what I do when I'm put in front of an audience of normal people. But when the recording industry gets my records, they tend to think the public won't understand or won't care about it. Maybe it's not happy enough or something. There's no use complaining about it. I'm choosing to go around that and go directly to the people. In late 2011, work commenced on a new collection, Songs for a Very Small Orchestra, recorded in Ireland and released in 2012. Turner described the sound of the record as Baroque pop. The song Yogi with a Broken Heart contains a synthesizer accompaniment from Philip Glass, with whom Turner had performed the song at Carnegie Hall in 2011. What a great privilege to speak to him from New York City. Welcome, Pierce Turner, to the show. Awesome. Well, welcome. Dope Nostalgia is a podcast where we talk about things that happened in the 90s as well as what's happening in the careers of artists today. So Pierce, very popular in Ireland. I'm out of Canada, so it'll be nice.
Yeah. Where are you?
Edmonton. So we're on the west, out on the west, like not too far from Vancouver, 12-hour drive, which is, in Canada is not a long drive.
That's true. I love Vancouver. It's a bit far away. Yeah. When I was touring, that was one of the very few places that made an impression on me. Because, when you're going 24 hours in a place, it's hard to be.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's just like my cat. When I do streams, he does worse than that. He usually shakes the camera.
Yeah, no, she's really wanting to be on the camera today. So
yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, no, touring Canada is no easy feat. That's for sure. If you're doing it, especially if you're doing the bus tours, man.
No. It's funny. They know what to do. They know exactly what's important. Mm-hmm. That microphone is the most important thing that you shouldn't touch. So I shouldn't touch
it. That's why she's right there. Yes. What made you decide early in your life that you were going to be a musician?
Let me see. All right. So, I suppose I was musical from a very early age because my mother was a musician. She had a band, and she wrote songs. So I was musical for a very early age, but I like a normal boy, I wasn't that, I just sang as a boy soprano, and I did it when I was asked to do it and everything like that. But I think my first experience that made me want to be a musician was when I was about 12. I sang Silent Night in the tops of a town in my hometown.
Oh, wow.
with like a 50-piece choir behind me, and the response and the feeling was very impactful. And then because then I started writing music. I started writing things when I was about 30. I think the decision to become a musician was just based on my love for music. I just loved it so much, and it wasn't a rational decision. It certainly wasn't a business decision of any kind.
Who were your musical heroes growing up?
Oh, Jesus, man, that's a long question. I suppose my parents had a record shop, so I listened to a lot of music when I was growing up. A lot of different kinds of music. So even though I was in Ireland, I was listening to people like Velvet Underground, and they weren't even that popular in America. And then I was listening to the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, obviously, and the Beach Boys and all that stuff. And then that move. After that, I moved on to let me see, like The Cure, Roxy Music, all of that stuff. Leonard Cohen I liked when I was young. I had a pretty wide range of stuff that I liked now, Naomi. It's a very eclectic taste, to say the least. And it's a long list.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing. And
I think so. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. it's not a great thing in the world of music we have now, in that you're supposed to really nail down exactly what you are. To it's like, and that's what's, when someone asks me, what does my music sound like? That's a very hard question to answer, because I think it represents all those crazy things, all that stuff. Joni Mitchell, I don't know, I could go on forever,
Yeah. No, that's good. And like with the North American audience, I want to let them know a little bit more about your beginnings too. Your start was with a gentleman by the name of Larry Kirwan.
Larry Kirwan, yeah.
Yeah. How did that come about?
Well, we were both from a little town, and Larry was involved. Larry was studying accountancy and writing songs. I became a professional musician when I was like 17. I went to Germany and played in a soul band there and stuff like that. As an organ player, really, a keyboard player and a piano player. And we lived in Dublin together. We shared a bedsitter in Dublin, and wrote songs together for other people, and then came to America together. So we had a duo for about 7 years, and then we formed a band, a kind of a new wave band, I suppose, called the Major Thinkers. So it's, I've known Larry, a very long time, since I was 14.
Wow. And then you had an album come out in 91. Your album now is Heaven.
Yeah.
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 How do you feel about that album now, looking back at it? What would be some of your favorite tracks on it?
Well, it's very interesting because, it was very well received by the critics. And at the time, I found it to be quite a painful album to do, because it's kind of a breakup album. I broke up with my girlfriend, and, it's, out of the shit grows the flowers, it's the pain, the pain produced some very, very intense songs that I really still perform. A song called Thunderstorm, which is the first song on the album, and it has wonderful string arrangements by John Simon, and then there's a song on there called All Messed Up that has got great longevity. It kind of song was very painful to write, actually, but I think it stands up. It's like John Simon wrote the most wonderful string arrangements, and it's weird for me because as I said, we had a record shop, and when I was a kid, I was listening to John Simon productions in our record shop. Like he produced all the band albums, and he was really like considered to be the 7th member of the band. The 6th member. How many people were in the band? 5 or 6? I can't remember.
Easily 5, probably more.
Yeah, and so he produced all the band albums and played on them and stuff like that. So. And then he also produced the Leonard Cohen debut album with all the great songs like So Long Marianne, and all those great songs. So I was a big fan of his when I was a teenager. And so to work with him in the studio was kind of mind-blowing.
What an experience.
To go that full circle, it's like, and likewise coming to America, I met so many people that were people I idolized in my little hometown. It's I never thought I'd ever meet, never mind talk to and hang out with, So, it's a strange idea.
That'd be thrilling, though. I mean, as it is, just traveling to a new continent to work on your new music would be just as exciting, but to have all those people that you've thought about over the years or wanted to meet, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And in a way, it sort of bursts a bubble too. It's like, because it's also magical when you don't know how it's done.
Yeah.
And then you know, when you see how it's done, you sort of think like, you know, it's not that far away from how I do it myself, you know.
Mhm.
It's not like some kind of, it's not some absolutely mind-blowing thing, you know. It's not like, you know, it's not a magic button or anything like that. It's just work, work, work until you get it right, you know.
Mhm.
Impatience and difficulties and arguments, and you know, it's all the same stuff.
True. That's
Yeah. So I thought, like, in my mind, I thought it would be kind of like what, you know, the way I envisioned the Beatles working with George Martin. I thought, like, you know, that he sorted them out. You know, they'd write a song and that he would sort them out. You know, all right, put in an F diminished in there and just, you know, like, and all that stuff. But now I know that's not really how it's done at all. You have to
Mhm.
do it all, really, and then somebody else just makes sure that it gets on tape. That's about it, really, you know.
Maybe just more hands are involved too, more ears are involved sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And you need more people. You need more ears. You can make something wonderful on your own. You can. There's no question about it. But it won't be the same thing as you will make with other people.
Mhm.
There will be elements to it, depth of field to it that you're not going to get when you're on your own.
Mhm.
And that's very clear for me. You know, I hear like an artist like Ed Sheeran, for instance, and I know he's got other people he's working with, but I do sometimes feel that I'm just listening to one person,
Yes.
you know, and because what happens, like this, because I've made albums like the way Ed Sheeran makes albums, and for instance, on this album, I had a band. A band of really high quality musicians. And when I listen to that, I hear a depth of field that I wouldn't have gotten if I was on my own. You know, and I let them.
Yeah.
I wanted them to have a strong say. You know, so I encouraged it. So it's a different thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. It adds so much. And the perfect phrase is depth of field. I'm glad you used that. It's true.
Yeah. Okay.
If you wanna know where to start to make it into something, 0 here, 0 here. When's the time to turn it over and come in from the river? 0 here, 0 here. He's got a chain but he's got no dog. He's got her shoes but no company.
Angelic and an angelic language, 1997.
Yeah.
And that album.
Well, that album was actually really an album I made on my own. I made it here in my apartment, basically, and it was almost like demos, you know. And because I'd done so many albums that were produced with, you know, and everything, at that point, I wanted to just do that. I didn't want to deal with anybody else.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, you know, I knew there was a certain magic in that too. As I said, a different thing, you know. But ultimately, I have to say, when I look back at it, I realized that, in fact, I re-recorded one of the songs from there on this new album, a song called Stephen's Preparing to Leave. I re-recorded it because I feel that the recording I did then was, you know, it didn't do the song complete justice for what could happen to it. It was the early stages of the song, you know, which definitely is a special thing. It's another thing. But when you bring in, when you flesh it out and you bring other musicians in, some songs should experience that, should have that, and like Stephen's Preparing to Leave stood the test of time. It still felt like it was, you know, contemporary, because it was unusual when I wrote it, and then re-recording it added other dimensions, interesting dimensions to it, and I like the way it sounds like with the bands too.
And I think it's cool that like both albums are so in what went into making them, just very different that way. You know, it's like two different spectrums of your creativity.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I think that, you know, when you make a record with a band, with a guitar player, prominent guitar player like Jerry Leonard, you're going to also draw in different people. There are people who can only hear guitars. The electric guitar is the only instrument that speaks to them.
Yeah.
There are people who really can't. If you give an album without an electric guitar on, they just don't know what to make of it.
That's so true.
So like it's like, you know, opening the door to those people, and hopefully they will like it.
And the Irish Times listed you as one of the most important Irish artists of the last 20 years. How does it feel to get a moniker such as that?
Well, you know, when I never really believed it. You know, I read stuff like that and I go, really? It's like, I don't know.
Quite an accolade. I like that.
You kind of feel like, you know, are they mistaking me for somebody else? Or did this guy just wake up on a really good day after just, you know, drinking 10 cups of coffee or something and feels great. And I got the good, you know, it just doesn't feel real when I see stuff like that. You know, it's like, you know, it's a bit like I said, you know, I grew up in a record shop, sort of idolizing these, you know, artists and, you know, people that. So if any of it applies to me, it always seems surreal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, it's a good feeling, I'm sure, but yeah, I can understand, especially like, wow, that's a huge thing to say. So it's nice to hear.
It is nice to hear. Yeah. And of course, you know, it has its disadvantages too, Naomi, that stuff.
Yeah.
Because there are people who will go, he is nuts.
Oh, it puts this pressure on you that you didn't have before. And you're like, oh, thanks.
I mean, I'm not saying that they're important because, you know, opinionated people are not that important. You know, it's like, you know, people with closed minds and who are looking to criticize all the time are not as important as people who are open-minded. Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah. So we have to remember that every time we make a record, every time we do anything. It came across me, this philosophy really hit me a very long time ago when I was going, I realized that I was trying to prepare myself to go, well, once I got beyond the point where I was just, when I became a professional musician, at one point it was just get on stage and see if I can pull it off. You know, if can I play this? Can I sing this? You know, once you get over that point that you're well able to do that, the next thing you come across is, will they like me or will they not like me? And you start thinking about the audience and looking out at them and seeing people making funny faces and wondering if they hate it, you know, and all that stuff starts going on. And then one day it dawned on me that no, that's not really the case, because nobody is going to pay to come to see you play to dislike you. You know, They will want to like you because it's very painful for them to not like you,
Yeah.
So what, and then, that changed my whole attitude. And remarkably, that statement, as remarkable as logical as that sounds, I had a conversation with Elton John's manager once, because my wife used to be his assistant, personal assistant.
Mhm.
And I asked him the same question: what do you think audiences are thinking when you go out on stage? And he said, I think they're saying, prove to me that you're good. So I said, no, I don't think that's what they're thinking. I think that they're thinking, please be good.
Mhm.
That's a
Please
different
be
thing.
good. Please be good because I've invested in you.
Yeah. Well, because I'm here, even if my friend brought me, or somebody brought me or whatever, I'm here now,
Yeah.
Please make this a pleasant experience, make this a great experience. I think it's because he's not a performer. He didn't understand that. And there's a man who's very successful who didn't know that, I think.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, his take would be on it when he's not the person on stage, right? So I get that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Dope Nostalgia listeners, I love you and I thank you so much for being a part of this show and its success over the last 2 years. We have what's called Patreon for those who want to support the show financially. For as little as $1 a month, you can become a subscriber and get bonus content, early podcast release, all kinds of cool behind-the-scenes stuff, and more. There's different tiers of membership starting at only $1 a month. And we even have some special merch for you guys who are in it for the long run. So please, join our Patreon. It's at www.patreon.com/dope nostalgia.
Let's Watch Something is a casual movie review podcast starring Anthony.
And Jack!
Everyone loves hearing industry professionals talking about their craft.
That's not us.
We're just a couple of movie lovers
Couple of nerds.
talking about movies.
So come join us on Let's Watch Something.
With Anthony and Jack. Anchor.fm/LWS.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's watch something.
Let's watch something.
Let's watch something.
Let's watch something.
Hi, may I take your order, please?
Big Mac, McDLT, a quarter pounder with cheese, filet of fish, a hamburger, a cheeseburger, McChicken, and McNuggets, tasty golden French fries, regular and larger size, a salad, chef or garden, or chicken salad, oriental, and for breakfast, egg McMuffin, hot cakes with sausage, maybe omelette, McMuffins, all 3 kinds of Danish hash browns, 2 and 4 dessert, hot apple pies and sundaes, 3 varieties, the saucer cone, 3 kinds of shakes and chocolate, chip cookies, and a drink of Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, an orange drink, a Sprite and coffee, and a chocolate, also apple, orange, and grapefruit juice. I love McDonald's, good and great taste, and I get this all at one place.
Now let me get this straight. You want a Big Mac, McDLT, a quarter pounder?
Still paints fire escapes with copper shade. Radios rapping screech like trains. Figures floating through the sewing set. Some guy walks by suspended by the sky. Takes more imagination when everything's remote control. For me, it's just a case of what's on the other side of clothes.
Now, you've got the new album coming out February, correct?
Yeah.
Terrible Good.
Yeah.
Tell me about the process. Were you doing a lot of recording during this pandemic and writing?
Yeah, we recorded it during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We recorded it beginning of last year. It's like, well, I came back to New York from Ireland in January last year, expecting absolutely nothing to do. I had nothing to do. I had no gigs. I had nothing. And I was thinking, what am I going to do in New York? Why am I even going there? I don't know. And when I got here, I got a call from Dick Connett at Story Sound Records, and he said, "I want to speak to you about something, and I have a record label, and maybe I can give some help to you." So I went up to him, thinking yeah, whatever. I mean, I just went really because I really liked Dick. I known him, and I always liked him, but I thought, a record label. We all have record labels. But it turns out that Dick really has a real record label, real. He had, with money and power and really and love. He's really a huge music lover. So he offered me the budget to make an album, and I said, "Well, it so happens that I've just reconnected with Jerry Leonard, who played guitar with David Bowie and Rufus Wainwright and Suzanne Vega, and he's from Ireland. And I asked him, would he make an album with me, and he said he would. So we could do that. And Dick was a huge fan of Jerry's, it turned out. So we that was pretty surprising, because I didn't think I would get the budget together to make an album with Jerry, really, because I knew he'd want a bigger budget than I normally would have. Then Jerry said, let's get Tony Shanahan on bass and Yuval Lyon on drums, and Tony plays with Patti Smith and Beck, and Yuval Lyon plays with David Byrne, so it's a pretty all-star lineup. And I thought, yeah, let's get them. That'd be great. And they, of course, weren't busy either because of the pandemic. This is the thing, is nobody was busy,
It's true.
The studio wasn't busy either. So this was fate of some kind. And I had all these songs written and ready to go. And we went into a studio in Long Island City and started recording. It's pretty amazing, because when I first met Jerry, it was in the late 90s or mid 90s, around 90s sometime. He mixed my sound, and I didn't even know he was a guitar player. And the next time I did see him, he was playing with David Bowie. I was like, what? I didn't even know he played the guitar.
Wow.
So it was fortuitous, really. So then again, here we go. I loved David Bowie when I was in Ireland as well. I was a big David Bowie fan as well. And now I'm working with David Bowie's guitar player. It's like a big circle, really.
Well, that's really fascinating how that all came together at the time it did, with everything going on. And so what do we have to look forward to when this album comes out?
Well, I'm launching it in Joe's Pub in Manhattan. I don't know if you know where Joe's Pub. It's a really great club. I haven't
heard of it.
Yeah, and it's one of the top 5 clubs in the American part of the Rolling Stone.
Yeah,
it is wonderful. Yeah, it's part of the Public Theater, and we're launching the album there on March 17th, which is just a coincidence because I'm Irish. And I just got the album yesterday. I have it here in my hand.
Nice.
Yeah, I just got it, and it's great because you see this booklet that's inside of it. I could never afford to make these when I was making my own album. It's a 24-page booklet inside here with all the lyrics and meanderings about what made each song and everything like that. It's an absolutely beautiful thing, and that's Story Sound. I guess I got to thank Story Sound for that. Then we're going to stream that show from Joe's Pub and record it on a 3-camera shoot, I should say, high quality audio, and we're going to be putting that up on the internet so everybody can look at it. That's the first thing to do.
Good. So by the time this drops, we'll be able to put out the links there about where people can follow you, and then they can see the stream, which will be nice.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, thank you.
You sound like you live in Manhattan.
Yeah, but you see, this proves that we're not faking this, Naomi.
Yeah,
This is the real. Yeah, there's Manhattan outside there screaming and shouting at me.
What's been one of your most memorable performances that you recall throughout your career?
Well, I'm playing at Glastonbury, in front of 60,000 people. It was pretty memorable. And I went on at prime time because of a weird thing that happened. Suzanne Vega was headlining that night, and she brought me on as a special guest at 7 o'clock. I was supposed to be on at noon.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a pretty amazing experience, I have to say. Probably that feat. I did Carnegie Hall with Philip Glass and Patti Smith as well, which was pretty memorable.
Yeah.
Very memorable. Philip played keyboard with me and I played piano. And that was a great thing. I suppose that's it, the most memorable things.
Those would be great memories. When we talk about Ireland, how long have you been living in America now?
30 years.
Quite a while, hey?
Yeah, but I've been here the whole time. That's when I came here first.
Mm-hmm. When you think about Ireland, what are some of your favorite things about the country? And if you were to tell a tourist going to visit there, what would you recommend to them?
Don't drink alcohol, first of all.
No. A lot of them probably come there to do just that.
Yeah. No, I'm joking, of course. I think the first thing that really strong advice I'd give to anybody going to Ireland is don't follow the tourist guides, because they are so warped. All the tourism for Ireland is geared towards emigration. Most of the people emigrated from Ireland during the potato famine in 1847. They left during that because they had to. Ireland had a population of 8 million people in 1847 and now has a population of 5 million people. We lost like 3 million people because of the potato famine. And they went to Canada, Australia, America. They came from the west coast of Ireland, Mayo, Galway, Cork, these places, because it was just convenient. I mean, it sounds nuts, but crossing the country was so difficult when you were starving. And, you even if it's a small country, you can't walk 400 miles to go on a ferry to England, Yeah. So they went to America and they went to Canada and they went to Australia. They left from came from the West Coast. So all the tourism is based on the West Coast of Ireland. People think, the West of Ireland is gorgeous, that everything else, they think it's just barren or something. I don't know what they think. But in actual fact, this southeast, where I come from, is where the Irish go on holidays, in Wexford and around there, Wicklow. It's really important to explore those places too. Don't just go to the West Coast. The West Coast is great also, and don't get me wrong, but it's just that Ireland doesn't finish on the West Coast. If you go to Dublin, for instance, you're going to experience a very different thing, because Dublin is the capital of Ireland, and it's very cosmopolitan and there's a very different energy, and you should experience it. You should go there, and you should go down the coast, on that coast, stay on that coast, and experience the train ride down along from Dublin to Wexford. It hugs the coastline all the way. and it feels like it's going to drop into the sea all the time.
Oh, wow.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
That's a place I definitely haven't visited yet, and it should be right up there. Sounds beautiful.
Yeah. Where have you been to Ireland at all? No.
I haven't left North America.
Have you not?
No.
Have you got a passport?
Oh, yes. I mean, I've been waiting a couple of years to use it, but I'm ready. I'm ready for some travel again. Hopefully
I think
soon.
so. Yes, Naomi, get out of there.
Now, just a few more questions to wrap things up. Kind of 90s centric questions for you. When the internet became a thing in the 90s, did you use it at all to promote your music? Were you involved in it in the 90s when it was new?
Yeah, the minute it came out, I jumped all over it.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, the thing, I mean, you know, yes, I hate Spotify and all these people who have just like taken all away our royalties, you know, and pretend that they're doing it to, you know, further the cause or whatever. But in actual fact, you know, there are too many people feeding off music. But if the internet had been around when I was, it was a lot of the stuff that was happening for me, like in the 90s, if the internet had been around, I would have been like, it would have made my life a lot easier. You know, I wouldn't have made as much money probably, but it would have been, you know, I had a big audience, a fairly big audience. That audience would have been, could have taken off to a much bigger audience very quickly with the help of the internet. You know, you wouldn't be, it wasn't localized. You know, it's like if you have an audience, like I had a big audience in Manhattan, but if you had a big audience in Manhattan, that would have led me to a national situation quicker than getting in a van and driving around America.
Yeah.
You know, Ed Sheeran hasn't driven around the world in a van like U2 did.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I took advantage. So when I saw this opportunity to reach people through the internet, I jumped on it.
That's good. Okay, so I found that when I talked to people about the internet and when it came out, a lot of them avoided it. Like they thought that it was some kind of fad or trend that, you know, was not going to be productive for them. And now here we are and we can't live without it.
Yeah. Well, I think that suspicion is a very bad thing for an artist to have. You know, I can't tell you many artists that I know that never got signed to a record company because they were suspicious all the time. They always thought they were getting ripped off. You know, if the record company said they wanted some of their publishing, they thought that, well, I'm not giving you my publishing. I never had that.
Just have to just read the contract through and you'll see what's going on.
Yeah, my approach is, yes, you can have everything. Just do something. You know, it's like, you know, help me, you know, and
yeah. Or you could be missing out on everything if you just got to really read it.
Yeah, or you know, like I've seen, like take an artist like Paul Simon. He was very savvy. Paul Simon was. I remember reading this years ago, and that he wouldn't give his publishing to anybody and everything like that. Well, obviously, Paul Simon did very well for himself. He's hugely successful, obviously, but now Paul Simon is worth what, 600 million or something like that. And if he had gone and given some of his publishing away, would it have been such a big disaster if he had 200 million now instead of 600 million? You know, it's
no, exactly.
No, it does. You know, it's not worth it. You know, let other people get involved and let them have some of it. You know.
It's a business for all things considered.
I think the worst thing you do is work on your own all the time. That'll be really boring and really unhealthy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And surrounding yourself with good, honest people is probably very important as well, because there's always going to be some shady characters, but if you can find the right people.
Yeah. There are people who will waste your time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I knew a guy who was he was a fan of this band, and he was very annoyed about something. And I said, well, what's wrong exactly? I thought you really liked them, you know. He said, yeah, but you know, they never ever gave me anything back from my investment. And I said, so like, what did you invest? He said, well, I put $150 into them, you know, and I never got anything back.
Wow. Really broke the bank.
You know, he didn't have any money, in fairness to him, but like, what did he think? And why would they take the $150? You know, it's like, you know, what? So you get that kind of silliness. You don't want to be involved with that kind of silliness.
True. That's petty. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Now, to wrap things up, of course, when you think back to that decade of the 90s, what kind of food, clothing, item, toy, something that would make you nostalgic for that era?
Well, for the 90s?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I asked everybody this question. Let me wrap it up.
Well, I would say I would have to pick music of you know, and that like I was you know, some of the music that was around then, the B-52s and Prince and
nice.
That kind of stuff. I mean, I'm nostalgic for that more than anything, you know.
Yeah.
I, you know, and then, you know, earlier seeing people like Talking Heads and Brian Ferry on the same bill, you know, that kind of thing was just mind blowing for me. And so, you know, it's, yeah, I'd have to say it's the music that makes me nostalgic, hearing that music.
And same for me, that's why I do this show.
Yeah. I don't, the clothes, you know, are so weird. I mean, they just keep going around. It just keeps going around in circles, you know. Well, you know, it's just basically the same clothes getting recycled all the time, you know.
A lot of those looks have come back already, so.
Yeah, now I think bell bottoms are back in, somebody told me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really, again?
Yeah, again. This is the other thing, is it's again.
I like them better than the skinny jeans.
I do too.
You know, the skinny jeans annoy me. I can't stand them.
I don't like them either. And they say now that if you wear skinny jeans, it gives everything away from what you're thinking. You know, what era you're into or whatever. Skinny jeans date you more than anything, apparently.
All right. Well, if they're on the way out, I'm happy with that.
Plus, they're a real pain in the arse to get off. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know,
torture.
Yeah. And getting them on, at least you can sort of lie on the bed and pull them on or something like that. But getting them off is really absolutely horrible. No, I agree with you. Let them go.
Easily let them go, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, Pierce, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I hope you had fun talking about everything with me. And yeah, it was great.
Great talking to you too, Naomi. So, all right, then get your passport and head off to Ireland.
Get going. Yes.
Right.
Get going to Ireland.
Yeah.
I've been labeled a singer-songwriter, right? And I don't actually want to be one. I've never wanted to be one. But this record that we've made, I think it really sounds like a band. And I'm really excited about that. Like my dad walking up that hill to the hospital. One of the reasons it really sounds like a band is because you have a major part in it and you're a guitar player. Like my dad walking up that hill. And then you pick the rhythm section, tremendous rhythm section.
Like Tony Shanahan came and played bass for us, right?
Yeah, Tony Smith's bass player.
Yeah, plays with Paddy Smith. You know, Yuval Lyon, who got on drums, plays with David Byrne. Had that individual thing that bands have, and it's a cast of characters, and it makes that particular sound.
Like a star walking up that hill to
unless you follow us on Twitter at NostalgiaDope, Instagram at @dope_nostalgia. Visit our website at www.dopenostalgia.com or pick up the phone and call us at 780-851-8785 and cut it out.
This podcast is licensed by SOCAN because we believe that artists should be paid for their work.